should be live now. Let me get. All right, Slap Recon here. We're over here doing another tryout. This is going to be tryout number 4. This is actually number 4, which is probably the 5th, but we'll explain that another time. So we're going to go in here now, and we're going to have a guest come out and give a tryout, her tryout, and it's her name is Taylor, coming all the way from North Carolina, and she's also one of the graveyard shifts. So for those who are familiar with the graveyard shift, and Taylor, not Swift Bones, Taylor Nicole is going to come out. So let's go ahead and get back over here to our page, and we're going to bring her in, and we'll ask her some questions. And if you guys have any questions, please feel free to go ahead and add them. Just pop it in there in the comments down there. Other thing to note, that if you post a question, your name is going to go into. We'll put your name on the wheel, and the wheel we'll spin it tomorrow, and we'll see who name pops up, and whoever's name pops up, you're going to get a shirt. All right, let's bring Taylor in, and we're going to see what she has to offer, or let's see what she knows, and what are we gonna do with her? Okay. All right, Taylor, let's get her in right here. Taylor Nicole. Okay, Taylor.
Hey.
Can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
Are you hearing me well, or?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, you're coming through. Okay. So, all right. So this is Taylor. Is it Nicole?
You're fine.
Okay, we'll go with that. Is that what we're gonna use, right? Okay. All right, so we have Taylor Nicole here, and we're starting this at roughly at about, I think it's 6 o'clock your time over there, and it's 5 o'clock my time, so we're right on the money. We shouldn't be too long, okay? We're already live now, so I hit the live before we got on to make sure everything was going through, and I've already got somebody that said howdy, which was Spooky Jen. She was watching, so she said hi, and that lets me know that they're seeing it, so that's a good thing. We're actually there. So why don't you tell us where you're from, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm from a town called King, North Carolina. A lot of people probably has never heard of that, but it's the Andy Griffith Show. I'm in between what was referred to as Mount Pilot and that, so it's Pilot Mountain and Mount Airy.
Mount Pilot. I was going to say Mayberry or Mount Pilot.
And I'm 29, and I do marketing for Harley Davidson, and I have some mediumship abilities.
Tell us something about that. What made you discover that, or find out that you had these abilities? I can't. I'm tongue twisted. I'm sorry. I'm over here trying to do 2 things at one time, and we can't do that both left hands. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that, and how when you first found out that you did have the abilities?
It was something that I guess I just really honestly thought had always happened. Like, I would remember these things, and then as I got older, I just kind of started talking to my mom about it, because my parents, they had always watched paranormal shows, but I never really knew if they really so much believed in it, or if it was just kind of like a interesting thing for them to watch. And so I started telling them, things that I had no way of knowing. Some of the things that I had told my mom, for instance, I had described my uncle's funeral, and I was there, but she told me that she was pregnant with me. So there was no way that I should have been able to really know what was going on. But I mean, I knew the time. I could tell exactly where he was buried at. Never been here at all to this cemetery. I could tell them, what I called her, the belle of the ball. But basically it was his wife, my aunt, just telling what she was wearing, the year, and, what time of year it was and all. And then I started having some experiences with some things, I guess you could say an attachment that I didn't really know that I had got, but I kind of become a bit obsessive with a little local story here that it's very popular in my area, and some people know about it out of state.
What is it?
I don't know if you've ever heard of it. There's a book called Bloody Christmas, White Christmas, and His name is Charlie Lawson, and he actually murdered his whole family except for one son on Christmas Day back in 1929. And we had actually went to the bed and breakfast that was actually the uncle's house. And the barn door, as we were sitting there in the car, closed. And I don't mean just like barely closed. It was like slammed shut. And after that, I started being harassed by him in my home. And then the children started coming to me and basically telling me what had happened. And so I actually ended up having to reach out to Amy Allen's team that she had at the time that would come in and, you know, help them after she left. And they actually did like a cleansing. They didn't come to my home, but they were able to do like a virtual, like he was able to tap into me and do a cleansing. And since then, I've learned how to ground myself more, because I was way too open and really didn't know what I was doing with what, you know, the abilities that I had.
Well, you know, we got one note. Say hi to Under the Moon Paranormal. We see you, girl. I see you there. And
Hi.
She says hi to you also, Taylor. And again, Spooky Jen is there, so we'll see who else pops up in a little bit. Okay, yeah, so because a lot of the movies are based on a lot of this stuff was coming, they always come from a little small town, and they, what do they call it, they're urban legends and stuff like that, but a lot of them were thought up of some actual real circumstances, from what I understand. You know, like, I'm not sure about the Friday the 13th one, though, or the Halloween, but I know that some of them were, you know, so. And have you ever gone ghost hunting?
Not necessarily ghost hunting. There's another little road here that basically it's kind of a little, everybody when they're young, teenagers, they want to go down and see if they've got the guts to go down there, you know, not get spooked off, especially the boys. But it's called Payne Road, and there's been a lot of stuff that's happened down there between just people living on it over the years. And one guy that lived down there, he actually took the TNT and put it in his mouth and blew himself up. So he supposedly haunts there. And then they had hung slaves there, and there was an old bridge that if you parked an older car, I don't know exactly the model up that will not do it, but they removed it. But if you would park your car there, something in the bridge, the car wouldn't turn back on. A lot of people knew that that's what it was, but a lot of people was, you know, it was paranormal. So, but people still go down there. They've actually changed the name of the road, trying to get people not to go down, because now there's a lot of people that live out there in a business, actually. So, but I had went down there and took pictures. And looking through the pictures while I was there, I didn't capture anything. But when I come back and I was looking through them, there was an old dilapidated house. And in the middle of the doorway was like this real tall, dark figure that I believe was demonic. And later on, I was going to upload it onto the internet. And when I went back, it was actually gone. I can't explain why or how that happened, because it was there. And when I went to try and share it, it was nowhere to be found in the picture.
How far is that place from you?
About 15 minutes, maybe.
I mean, that sounds like something that I would definitely have to go do a recon on. And I just haven't done any night ones because my camera is not really set up for night yet, which I'm working on trying to get one right now. I'm just trying to see which one is going to be the best fit for me, because I use GoPro right now, and that's not really good for the night, shots. But you can use your phone, right?
That's what I use.
Is that what you used?
It's kind of crazy, because before ever watching Dalen on YouTube and, finding out that's what he used, that's actually what I had found. And so, and I always found, good validity in it to the questions that was being asked. So
I started watching Dalen way when this began. That's when I really started watching his shows. And then I went out and I, met him out there in Ballinger, Texas, a year and a half ago or somewhere around there. And we kind of hit it off out there. And he's a real, they're all three of them. I mean, all three of the guys, you know what I'm saying? I mean, they're all good people, man. Them guys are just down to earth. You meet them and it's like you already knew them. Yeah. I mean, because he keeps going at it. He don't stop. He's just kind of like one after another. And they're even laughing, so that's what's funny about it. Either way, when you see these ghost hunters on some of the other shows, you know, let's say like Kindred or Portals and all of them, because those are the shows that those are my favorites there. And not only those, but I'm talking about, you know, plus the ghost hunters, you know, and stuff like that. I love the Ghost Brothers. I'm sorry, not ghost hunters. Well, yeah, ghost hunters too, but when I see them, I always look at the specific tools, and I notice that they bring in somebody that's kind of like has psychic abilities also, you know. I wonder if you were to do that, would you, or have you done that?
Well,
Met up with a ghost team and tried to do that?
A couple of little teams that I've found in the area just on Facebook, but I'll get to talking to them, and it's like they're just basically trying to get it up off the road. But I guess it's just like a small town, and it's not really talked about much around here. It's kind of taboo. So, and they just have never seemed to get it up and off the ground and running. But I talked to them about, you know, going out to some places around here, and it's definitely something I'd like to do.
I've always wanted to go out and do not me do it, but go out with a team, you know. In fact, I'm pretty sure I will as soon as I get the camera that I'm trying to order. As soon as I decide which one of the two I want to get, because it's going to be a night vision one, and I thought about doing that, but I would like it. It would be cool for me to film that and them have a psychic medium there or somebody that's into it or whatever, you know, that they can, you know, kind of pick up something that we don't see, you know. So, because every time you see them they'll say, you'll see one of them say stop or point in a direction, you know, everybody looks over like, you know, everybody looks like, oh my God, but you're not going to say anything, but we'll all look. I know I'll still look, you know. I'll probably look. I'll look going that way. Backing up.
Charlie Lawson. I don't know if you watch Netflix much, but there's a show that they did on there called 28 Days Haunted. And they actually featured that story on there. And they had brought in a psychic medium. And it was real interesting to watch it because, you know, me already having the perspective from it, you know, experiencing it. When, you know, there were some things that she said, and I was like, yeah, like she's definitely, you know, the real deal, because it was things that I had said, and it was like, wow, kind of like hit, you know, home, having somebody else, you know, with the same ability, I guess kind of like validating, you know, what had happened that I had seen and encountered with it. But what it is they stay there for 28 days, and they had 3 different groups at each location, and they filmed it. And basically, it was Ed and Lorraine Warren's theory that within 28 days, basically the veil is completely gone. And so you're more apt to, you know, get interaction and all with spirits. And they did, you know, different experiments and all, too, while they were there. So it was quite interesting to watch it.
So were they actually on site?
They were
at the location?
Now, the location that they were at for what I'm talking about is called Madison Dry Goods, and it's actually, back in the day, it was the funeral home that they actually took the family to, because it was the only funeral home in the area that had the means to prepare that many bodies. And now below is just like a dry goods, like Mass General store, and it still runs today, but it's got, you know, the upper level is kind of like a museum for the Lawson family. So basically showing pictures of them and just kind of like what, you know, the story and all that happened. So people come up there and they say that they have paranormal activity within the building, and they believe that it's to be them, and they got stuff while they were there that was concurrent of them, you know, being the ones that was haunting the place.
How about, you know, when you hear stuff like that, I kind of bring up, the Bob Mackey place. You know what I'm saying? Because when you see that, I don't know, it seems like everybody has been there. I'm talking about the ghost hunters on Travel Channel or whatnot. But it makes you wonder exactly what was going on. I mean, you know, what was the actual truth? Because there's the story's kind of like the same, and then the one guy who died there or whatever, and it's kind of like he was digging the hole or whatever. He started digging the hole or whatever, but you know, they have all these people can go there and all this and that. But I understand now, according to Under the Moon, she had told me on our last podcast that she lives out there by that place, and that they were already going to tear it all down, and maybe they've already done that. Under the Moon, if you're still there, have they torn it down yet, or do they have a target date? See if she posts. And hello, Melanie. How you doing from New York? Good to see you here. So, yeah. So
No,
you
I
can't see none of them,
trying
right?
to open the chat, but I can't see anything.
Okay. Well, I got them. Yeah, they're popping in on my side on
Oh,
the
okay,
chat
good. There,
side.
I see it
So,
now.
and then
Figured I could pull it up.
yeah, so then you'll see who pops in. And but yeah, that I've never been there, and I remember there was a time that I wanted to go out there. Because my curiosity kind of carries me too far sometimes and gets me in a lot of trouble because I'm an ex-soldier. I'm a veteran, so and there's been a lot of times that I kind of like have been told you shouldn't have went out there, or why were you there? You didn't have no business over there.
It's going to be torn
What's
down
she
by the
saying
end
there?
of summer, but they are keeping the portal to hell.
Oh man, they're not gonna do what I suggested, I guess. Well, wonder what they're gonna do with it. If they're gonna leave it. So like, wonder what they will build around it to leave that there. Get it? I mean, I don't know. How about you, Taylor? Would you go
That'd
there?
be interesting going there. One place that I would like to go is probably to Zach Bagan's museum, just all the different stuff there, and see what I encounter.
I'd like to go see who is the other one? Oh God. He does live sci-fi on YouTube. Who is oh God. He was with the Ghost Brothers on the did you see the Haunted Salem Live?
I believe so.
Yeah, well, and the Ghost Brothers, when they were in the room, they had I think Tim Wood. I think his name was Tim Wood. I believe it was Tim Wood. And supposedly he has some kind of a little thing too, because I know he collects a lot of that stuff, and I know that a lot of his shows that I've seen him do, I love to watch his shows. He has collected some of that stuff, and says that he puts it in some kind of warehouse. I would like to see that little warehouse he's got.
Yeah.
Just I don't know that it's open for public or nothing like that, but I would really love to go in there.
Then you had John Zappas that had that museum, but I don't know if he still has it.
Well, Josh Gates. Josh would be another good one, Melanie. I mean, I'm not sure that does he have an actual museum? Do you know? We were just curious, Melanie, if he had an actual warehouse or a museum or something. He would have a lot of stuff too, though. That's another guy that would have a whole lot.
All kinds of different
So,
stuff. All kinds of investigations.
yeah, and not only paranormal, he goes out there and sci-fi stuff. He really gets into some stuff. I like watching him sometimes. I mean, I can't. Okay, he just collects them, but yeah, I can't ever catch all of them. But I like to watch some of his shows, because I love these guys that go out there for the adventure, because it shows how, I guess, like I used to be, back in my days. I'm not that guy anymore, but I used to be. When I guess cancer took me out of that game, so. Yeah, and yeah, it is. It's Tim Wood, and I like the one that he did the show. What was it? It Feels Haunted or It Feels Evil. I like that one. Have you ever watched that one? You watch any of it? Yeah, that's a good one. And I think I saw the Ghost Town Terror was good too. You can. I have to go to like Discovery Plus now to watch some of them now. But It Feels Evil. That was kind of like one of my favorites. I used to love watching that one because he had a real good psychic medium that went with him. I think her name was Montana, but I never saw her anymore. Never. I don't know whatever happened to her. You don't see her nowhere, no other shows or anything. And I've reached out to him.
The name of it, because there was I think there was 2 different versions of it, but the ones where they went to those actual towns, and the whole town was having some kind of paranormal encounter, and the police had brought them in, and they were tracing it back, and it all seemed to link into one thing.
Yeah, I remember that. God, I can't remember. Was that
Cindy was on it, as a medium. And
Yeah.
I don't remember who the other 2 were.
Man, I feel so bad. Schrader or
Dave Schrader was on one of them, I believe. Yeah.
Okay. Then, yeah, because I mean, those little towns that they do this stuff in, I don't know that, and they're usually way out in the middle of nowhere, man. I thought Ballinger, Texas, was in the middle of nowhere. When we went out there. It was a rough ride to get to where that place was. I don't even know how the Ghost Brothers ended up getting there. I don't know. I didn't even ask them, like, how did y'all get here? There ain't no airport or nothing around here. And where'd y'all land that $1 million helicopter at? You know what I mean? I know y'all are riding large. I know you're riding large, Dalen. Don't try to trick us. I know what you got. But I'm just kidding. So.
Yes, Ghost of Shepherdstown was one of them.
Oh, there it is, right there. Yeah, Ghosts of Shepherdstown. That's the one. Yeah, Melanie's got all the answers tonight. What's going on with you, girl? That's because she already has one of these shirts. She's already got one. Gave her all that knowledge. I sent you all that knowledge, girl. So, but give me one more. Give me another one that you kind of remember that you can elaborate on, Taylor.
I like to. One of the ones that I really like to watch was Amy Allen when she was on the Dead Files, seeing all the different places that she went and helped people, and then having Steve on there and him going and looking up the information, and I mean she was spot on. I mean, like, she hardly ever. I don't even know if I can ever even come up with a time that she was nowhere near being right about what had happened. Yes.
Yeah, wasn't that the Dead Files? Yeah, I wonder what happened to her. I mean, I see her sometime pop up on Facebook. I mean, she's on there. She's got her profile is on there sometime, but I don't remember.
It was starting to really affect her, going to all them different places and all the different energies and all. So she was going to take some time off, but I don't know if she's ever planning on coming back. And then Cindy Kaza took it over, but of course now with all the stuff going on with the paranormal shows not really happening right now, I'm not really sure what's going on with that, if it's going to come back at any point or what.
Yeah, no, I think everybody's kind of guessing what's going on and what really happened. More than what's going on is more than
Right.
it's like more what happened. Because it seemed like they just all disappeared and just fell off the
Right.
face of the earth. Or the networks or whatever. And I remember when what was it, the Sci-Fi Channel? They were doing it because that's where the ghost hunters actually started, was on the Sci-Fi Channel. I don't know if you remember that. I want to know what happened to them.
Middle school, and so that was like one of the first real popular ones, and then it was just like Travel Channel got it, and just all these shows started popping up and taking off.
I know. I just always wondered why Sci-Fi Channel wouldn't just pick it back up. You know what I mean?
I'm sure they had
I thought that'd be.
millions of viewers for all these shows, and so I don't think it would have anything to do with the views.
Yeah, no, I don't either because there's too many followers for all these people. I mean, they all got their own crowd. When they go places, you see how many people are there, and fighting to get in and whatever. But catch that for me, Taylor.
Steve Deshavi posted that the Dead Files was done and didn't get a new contract.
Wow. Okay, Under the Moon Paranormal sent that one in to us. So they didn't get a new contract.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
Steve.
it was different, when Cindy took it over. I mean, of course, because it was her doing it now, but I don't think it was a bad.
I didn't get to see any. I didn't get to see any with Cindy Kaza yet. I never did get to, because I was already focused. I was starting this stuff, my other deal, because I do Slap Recon also. So, and I was into that, and I just started kind of falling away and fading away, I guess, since everything was dying out, So I was more looking at everybody on YouTube.
The drawings of what she's seen when she was there, and Cindy would do that, but she also started doing drawings of the spirit guides. So I guess she would just pick like one that was real predominant, and she would do a drawing of it. And I just don't know. I mean, I'd seen, different people talking about how some of them liked it and then some of them didn't. But, you can't just really expect to go along with the exact same thing because, it's somebody new, so. But some people don't like change.
Yeah. Yeah. And let's see, Melanie said, yeah, Steve posted about it, and he's a great friend of yours, and I need to get him on. Well, let him know. Let him know to contact Slap, and, we'll see what we can do. Maybe one of these new co-hosts will be able to run that show. Yeah, Under the Moon agrees with Melanie about Steve. He is great. Yeah, and you see, that's why I say when you start bringing up a lot of these shows, I like to see, like, this is what I like about this part of it, because people will write stuff that you don't know, or that I don't know, put it that way, that I'm not, that familiar. But then you got these people from all over the place that are closer to these, some of these people that do the shows or with the shows or whatever, and they or maybe even have contacts and they have more information on it, and they can kind of like that's where I kind of learn a lot of stuff right there, and that's a good thing. So I don't know. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I mean, I really would like to get out more than I have gotten out. And I'm going to be trying that here soon. So, the big deal is for me to start trying to hit the road. The only thing is right now is hurricane season down here where we're at. And then the weather is 110, how it feels like when the hurricane's not here. So it's really bad down here. So it's kind of like bad timing to try to go anywhere. Best time to get out of here is like in September and early October, which...
It's always like hot, but it's been just unbearably hot here.
Yeah, so and I think that, like I said, in September or October, I think that's when I'm going to probably do some. I really want to go to Salem, so that's kind of like my real Salem, Massachusetts. I'd like to go to the Witch City. I would love to do a recon down them streets, so that's kind of like target. I got people out there, and had one of them. There was a guest on our show. One of the earlier shows, and that was Brandon the Shapeshifter. He's out there, and whenever you see these when people are walking the streets out there, there's some guys that just video everything out there, and I watch them a lot. And then I used to see Brandon the Shapeshifter, and I would always see him because he's always got a different costume, but he doesn't have a costume like what you think. I don't know if you've ever seen him, but he's totally different. This guy's got.
I'll have to look him up.
Huh?
No.
You ever seen? Yeah, he's on. I did a podcast with him, but he's not in costume. But I show a bunch of the pictures and all the different. That's why they call him a shapeshifter, because he's got so many different looks. Each time you see him, he's going to be different, and that's what I'm talking about. And it was like, man, I would like to, meet this guy. So I sent him a text, or I wanted on his page. That's where I had sent him a message, and he got back with me. So I put him on the show and, on the podcast, and we had a good talk. He's out, he writes books and everything. In fact, I'm supposed to be trying to get a few of his books, and I'm going to pass some, give some out on this channel. I was just waiting to, get more viewers, as I guess you want to call it. So, but, yeah, and like, where would you go if you could go? Your favorite city or whatever?
Definitely New Orleans is probably where I would want to go. But I would be interested in Salem.
NOLA.
Because that really interests me, the witches and the trials and all, and going around, and then the way that they just have like that little stretch right there, all set up. Especially they say like in October.
Yeah, well, that's really when it comes to life, and as far as the, like what they say, is the I don't know how you say it, I don't want to use the word spooky or whatever, haunted or whatever's haunted. And to me, it's kind of like, I don't know that if I was there, I would be kind of like frightened or anything like that, because I'm usually a guy that it takes a lot to really scare me, but I ain't stupid either. There's something banging on that window, and I ain't nobody inside or out. I'm not going to go open the window or peek in there and see who's in there. I'm not that stupid. Melanie, you go to the catacombs to investigate. Yeah, You just went somewhere, Melanie. I think, didn't you? Where did you just go? I think you just went out and did a ghost hunt. These are ghost hunters, incidentally, Taylor. These guys are the ones that are sending messages. They're the guys that go out there. They do a lot of them. Under the Moon Paranormal does graveyard shifts too. You might want to make sure you catch them. And anybody else, Under the Moon Paranormal, catch them whenever you can. And Spooky Galveston, catch them when you can. If you want to do a tour out in Galveston, Texas. And she does some real good tours. And in fact, she was featured in some magazine. I can't remember. A Texas magazine, I believe it was. I saw it online the other day, and I thought that was pretty neat. So I'm still going to be booking one out there. So I'll be coming out there.
Cemetery.
Spooky Jen.
Actually, some of my family is buried in. It's the next town over. But some of my family is buried there. But with him coming, I was maybe going to tell him to stay in Winston-Salem, which is the name of the town, and try and go to that cemetery, because I've been there and they have people that are buried back from the 1700s. I mean, it's like a really old cemetery, all the way up to like people still being buried today. And I've been there and I've seen people from period clothing. I was on the phone with my mom once because I was trying to find a grave. I didn't know exactly where it was. And she was like, "What's that noise?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Because I wasn't going to say anything. And she's like, "Who's walking with you?" And I'm like, "Oh, so you can hear that," because it literally sounded like somebody was just walking like up on me. And I turned around and there was nobody around. Like I was the only one in that area because it's such a large cemetery. But I definitely think it'd be something for him to go and check out and see who might want to talk.
I'm pretty sure he'll jump on it too. That sounds like a good thing. Be sure, if you do catch up with him, be sure and tell him you did this with the slap. Believe me, he'll get a kick out of that.
It actually used to.
And then
the cops, when they were, just rookies, they closed it down at night. It used to be you could go in there at any time, but they lock it up. But they used to have them go and actually walk the cemetery at night. And basically, it was kind of like initiation. If you can walk through there and not get spooked, then you can, be a cop. And some of them would get spooked and quit. So there's some strange things that go on there, like even during the daytime. So not just night.
The Catacombs. That's the one in Hinsdale, New York. I knew it was up that way. I just couldn't remember the name of the town, Melanie. Sorry about that. Yeah, I've actually done that. We had the same thing growing up. There was a cemetery. It was called Hollywood Cemetery, and it made a horseshoe going way to the back and coming back to the front. But it was a pretty large cemetery, and there's supposedly there's some famous people, but it's an old cemetery too. So that kind of shows you where my spooky level is.
About, the Payne Road that I was initially talking about, how it's kind of like a thing to do when you're in high school. My grandfather, he was in World War II, and he was actually at Pearl Harbor when it happened. And he, believed in the paranormal stuff. And one of the urban legends is if you drive down the road, there's like a old car that will come out behind you and like basically chase you off. But then if you look back, like it'll just kind of turn off like into like this dirt road and just like disappear. And so I took him down there and actually, there was a car that got behind us, and it was like on our bumper, and I was trying to, speed up and, get away. But this road's like real curvy. I mean, like if you just can't speed off out of it. And look back, because I was telling him about it, I was like, this is what people say happened. I was like, and they say that like it'll just, eventually just turn off into a field. And that's what it did. And he was like, "Don't ever bring me back here ever again." And that was completely, not like him to not, want to go somewhere, but it spooked him. So.
Thanks, Melanie. I'll take spaghetti. And so, all right. I'm listening to you, but I'm just catching when they pop up over here.
But that's one of the urban legends on another one besides just the bridge. But like I said, they took that bridge out. Replaced it with a new one, but I don't know exactly what they said. It was something to do with some kind of like metal or something within the bridge that would interact with the battery and basically like drain it. And as soon, like, if you had, enough people with you to push your car off that bridge, as soon as you got it off the bridge, like, it reached SARP.
Yeah, but then who knows? Like Tony Taylor was telling us on the last one that you never know what's has to do with the the UFO kind of theories and stuff. I mean, because they have ways of doing stuff down here that we don't, that a lot of us don't,
Right.
you don't see or whatever. All the unexplained. So I don't know. I mean, I believe in UFOs too. I mean, a lot of people don't like saying that, but I'll say it. I mean, it's got to be something else out there. Come on. I mean, there's too much movement in the sky, and I used to see movement in the sky when I was a little kid, and we used to go on these long trips. My dad would take us, and we'd be out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, because you got to get miles away from the cities, and we'd be out there like way in the middle of nowhere. And back then, the cities weren't near as big as they are now. So he would stop, and we'd all get out, and he'd tell us, like lay on the hood or whatever, and look up at the sky and look at all the, he was teaching us what you can see. And man, we saw so many things moving and zooming, and I mean, because there's so many stars, you got a better view at so many,
Right.
stars.
Light, and then there'll be another one that comes, and it's like they kind of like make this formation, and people have posted about it on Facebook, and they just chalk it up to that it's the power company using drones, which I don't even know if that's even something that power companies do to work on, like these light poles and all. But that's pretty much what everybody's chalked it up to around here. But to me, it happens too much for it to be them just working on the power lines.
Yeah, I don't know. When I was at the power company, I don't remember drones being there. I remember using drones. They were starting to use them.
Pike Electric, which is one of the big electrical companies here, and I don't remember ever billing for any, doing any kind of billing work for drones or anything like that.
Right, and that's why and normally they don't send drones out at night anyway. I mean, I don't know how many years ago this was, but I know some of these sightings were pretty a long time ago. I mean, not probably 15 years, 10 years, 5 years, whatever. And when you see like Disney and them, they're doing these drone shows now and stuff. That just started like last year. It's not like it was happening back then. So I don't know.
Too, I mean, people just believe it, but then you got to think, well, why would they be out there, working on the power lines at night if there's no, kind of storm that has took out, the power? So it just doesn't really make a lot of sense.
Yeah. Because I know I was there for a long time, and I mean, I don't remember a drone doing nothing for me. I remember me doing all the work. So at night, overnight, and and storms and whatnot. So yeah, well, under the moon, you see a bunch of crazy stuff in the sky because you're under the moon all the time. Get out and get some sun.
And then,
Just kidding.
Just
Yeah.
nonstop. I mean, like, Nevada seems to be like a really popular place, and I just wonder, what makes some places, I guess, more susceptible to seeing things like that in the sky.
Yeah. Who knows? But I do believe in that stuff, and not going to say one has ever landed in one of my yards or my yard or anything like that, but and if one did, I'm not sure I want to walk out there and like I said, peek in that window. So I kind of careful about that.
Great
Look.
aunt that lives in Florence, South Carolina, and I don't know if you've ever heard of this urban legend, but I know it's been on some of the TV shows, called Lizard Man, and he actually is more common in a town that's like close to her, like a little bit, not that far from her, but she fully believes in that, and she's not one to believe in anything that's kind of like out of the norm. And I know we were down there staying one time and had the dogs outside, and they got to barking and all, and they didn't want me to go near the fence, which is totally, out of their characteristic, because usually if they're barking, they want me to come out there and see what's going on. And that's what I chalked it up to. I said, oh, it's just Lizard Man. And that's what I told my aunt the next morning, and she's like, oh, well, it very well could have been. And I was just joking and going on, but she was like, it might have really been him out there.
Hey, you never know, because the dogs, some dogs are very protective, and they'll actually see something before you do.
I just like,
naturally.
thank you for protecting
And
the car, because that's one thing that they say that, he does is he'll tear up the car and, like, scratch it with, his nails or whatever. And so I'm like, well, at least you didn't get our car tore up, so you were out there protecting. They are very, very
right,
sensitive to
but
things that, we can't see. And so,
so Taylor, let me ask you a question. What qualifies you to be a co-host?
I think I'm very outgoing, and I'm really into the paranormal, and not only just, like the medium aspect, but just all different kinds of things that, kind of fall under that umbrella. Just really curious, wanting to know other people's experiences, and kind of like comparing experiences. And there's a lot of cool people that you get to meet, because there's so many kinds of, different people that are in this field that are very open. And so I just think it'd be just something really that would just fit me, because I'm just so interested in this kind of thing. And I could just talk for days about, different things that happened, or different things that I wonder about that maybe somebody might have experienced and maybe have the answer, to it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a lot of also questions. Got to have questions to ask and whatnot. And I mean, if you watch some of the podcasts that we've done, you see how I'll try to get to some questions. Usually I try to get them ahead of time, but a lot of times you just shoot from the hip and just go from there. And as you talk, it's just like a conversation. And then once you talk to some of these people, you kind of like the ones that were just guests, not the co-host, but the guest. Those I did research on. You know what I'm saying? I kind of read up on them, wrote some notes down, kind of tried to figure out how long they've been doing what they were doing. And some of them, they just started out or something, and I like to try to highlight people, try to put people who just starting out, to me, I like to try to help exploit them, I guess you want to call it, through that. so anyway, how do you feel comfortable? Is this your first time on a podcast? Okay. And you're more comfortable with it?
Yeah. This is, just like you said, just a conversation, talking about things that interest, and have things in common. So this is pretty neat, and having people that comment over here.
I think what scares everybody is actually getting right there, because you're down here, but the camera's up there. Yeah, because logging in, or no one's sure exactly how to do it. I don't even know what goes on that side. I've never logged into nobody's podcast yet, and I've been asked to come on a couple of them already, but I just, not yet, because I'm not monetized, and I'm not trying to be monetized right now. That's not my goal. So, but I've never actually, but I'm pretty sure if, it's the same kind of thing. I'll just set up here and then log into their thing like that. So I'm guessing. I'm not sure, but yeah, I think that's what scares everybody. They're kind of like, man, I don't even know how to get on the podcast. I don't even want no part of that, but it's not as hard as people think. It's really easy. It's nothing to run from or be scared of. And what would be the ultimate guest? Your ultimate guest? What would be the first guest that you would like to have on let's say your podcast without Slap Recon? Who would it be, or what would it be, or what topic would it be? Anything.
Let's see. That's a hard one, because there's like so many good ones. And this might be somebody that people may not really think of offhand. But have you ever heard of Teresa Caputo? Like, I would kind of like to talk to her and see what, the interaction with her would be, because I know a lot of people feel that she's very, I guess theatrical, like not really knowing, how much is so much true with her or whatever, because she does go around and do, like the meetings, kind of like Chip, but they say that hers is like more like a show. So I guess my thing would be, to try and meet her and ask her, some questions, and maybe see like if she would say anything that, really connected and was like, oh wow, okay, you're the real deal.
So what, is she on
No, she
YouTube
actually
also,
had
or
a
what?
show, and I think it started out on TLC. It was called Teresa Caputo, the Long Island Medium, and she's
Oh,
come
okay.
back now and she's on Lifetime. And this one is basically following her around to her shows that she does. So, like, basically, she'll go to like these little convention centers and you'll buy tickets and you're not sure if you're going to get read or not. So, you just go there hoping that, she's going to pick up on, a loved one or friend or whatever. And, so there's like different, she's a little controversial. People, some people say, oh yeah, I believe that, she's really real. And then some people say, oh, I think it's all, pre-planned and all. So.
Yeah, well, I think they think
Right.
that with most of them. I mean, I don't know, because if, you either believe or you don't, or it's kind of, yeah, it's up on what you believe. I mean, if you have faith in yourself and have faith knowing that I think that I could talk to my son or my,
Right.
and but if you don't, what's the use of going and
Exactly.
what's the use of trying? So if it's not, I guess what I'm saying, if it's not for them,
Yeah.
or they shouldn't be there, or just don't, you shouldn't even
And
comment
it's
on it.
always,
Just let it go,
interesting too, like when you
because
do
it's not.
like get somebody that's skeptical that, comes and then you just basically just blow their socks off and it's like, okay. But then I've had like, I've heard some people, like for instance, Amy Allen's ex-husband. He was actually the one that was the cameraman for her. It didn't really make a lot of sense to me, his view. He said that he believed her, but he didn't necessarily believe in mediums. And I'm just like, well, other people have the same
Yeah.
ability. So, but I mean, I guess it's just whatever their beliefs is, because we all have different beliefs, and so it's just all kind of what we believe in.
If I could sit down with any medium that's out there, I would have to say, and this is one that would never happen, but I would
Yes.
have to say Chip Coffey.
Absolutely.
So I mean, I would, yeah, because some of the stuff that he actually comes up with and stuff, you're kind of like scratching your head, and it's just when you see it on TV and all that, it's so hard to believe it. It really is. But like I said before, I'd like to see it for myself. It would be so cool to get him on something like this and for him to, do a read on me, or if he, because apparently he does it on Kindred Spirits, because they'll talk when during the COVID time. Remember,
Yeah.
they were doing him on camera
And
most
that's
of the
like,
time.
yeah,
So I
that's
thought
what
that
I
was
gonna say.
cool.
That's like very cool that he can just sit down like in front of a computer with a webcam and just see the place on the other end and be able to pick up on what's going on there. So that's very, I mean, very, very gifted for sure.
Man, I tell you, I sometimes can tell certain things, but I've never dug in and tried to,
Yeah.
you know, uh, what do they say? You got to work with it, or kind of like, I don't know.
And like I
There's-
said, when I was younger, like I just didn't. I was too open, and we have a metaphysical shop not far from us, and I've went there, and they've kind of helped me, and I've got different crystals, and then like I got some bracelets here that I'll wear to try and stay grounded and not open up and invite things unless that's what I'm looking to do. So, but before I was just an open door and all these things. It was just it's crazy.
Yeah, I can't say that I have any psychic abilities at all, but I can tell when time's up. So, hey, see there? I
Seemed
got
like
something.
It flew by.
It
It seemed like it's been an hour.
I'm psychic. Never mind that noise. That
Right.
beeping sound. That's nothing. Yeah, right. The alarm clock over here, the timer. Okay, never mind that sound. Well, it's been nice having you on here with us from North Carolina, Nicole, or Taylor Nicole, and I guess I can call you Nicole or Taylor. So since it is your middle name, right? And I just gonna go ahead and we'll cut you loose now. And thanks a lot. You did real good. And let's see what you look like on there. And I try to save this for a couple of days on Facebook, so you can probably go back and find it and see it again. But if not, it's gonna go on YouTube. So anybody else watching, and if anybody missed anything, Under the Moon says you did great. And And yeah, and that's coming from someone who's also done this, been on the show. And yeah, and all anybody else, just remember, she did the best she could. I thought it was great. Leave in the comments later on, or if you want to do it on YouTube, leave in the comments over there whether or not how you thought she did. And I didn't say whether or not she did good or bad. I said tell her how how good she did. So, all right, we'll let you go, Taylor. Thanks again. Sorry to hold you up, and I promised you an hour, and we're right at it. I mean, we're at a 3-minute mark. Unbelievable. I usually talk too much and don't ever, and go over, but sometimes, some guests just have too much to say, and in a good way, and that's a good way. I like that. But usually on Facebook, I usually give it an hour and we shut it off anyway right there. But on a regular podcast, because this is actually a Slap Recon deal, it's not an actual Explain Strange podcast. So those always shoot to Spotify, just so you know. This one won't. This one should we'll just edit it and we'll send it over to YouTube. It'll go there. But all right, we'll let you go. Do what you got to do, and you have any other questions or anything to ask me? Be sure and just get in touch with me. You know how to get in touch with me. All right, guys, that was Taylor Nicole, and I thought she did a good job. I hope you guys liked her. Thanks everybody who showed up on the live chat. Got your names down here. Everybody who showed up. One name. Hold on. Okay. Thanks also, Rebecca, for showing up. And I think that's going to do a Slap Recon out. And thanks again for letting us into your room or coming into our studio and joining us to let Taylor Nicole know how well she did. And thank you. Yeah, I made it through the storm, girl. Thank you. I appreciate that. Under the moon. Yeah, it was a rough one. I had a lot of damage in the back. I don't like showing a bunch of pictures though, but there was a lot of damage back there. We had a lot of things going here. But thank you guys for the good well wishes for the storm. This is Houston, Texas. The eye went right into us. So I had a lot of damage. There's still a lot of people out here. I'm not even going to give a number because they're trying to get most of them back on, but there's a lot of people out here with no power. And our temperature down here feels like 109 and 110. So people are really suffering out here. So keep them in your prayers, your thoughts, and let's hope the city gets back to normal and all the surrounding areas of the city, Galveston included. So thanks again, guys, and we'll see you on the next one. And I appreciate your participation and love you. And we'll see you on that next. This one makes that slap out.